Hey everyone, I've got another update for you today with some more info on Shadowkeep. This time about strikes, raid gear, difficulty tiers, and an infinite power cap, as well as some other stuff. This all comes from a new article just posted on Games Radar, where they got to sit down with Bungie, presumably at Gamescom, and talk a little bit more about the specifics of some of the content coming in Shadowkeep. The first thing I want to bring up is their question about raid gear and what they're doing to make it stand out from normal gear. Bungie's response was, some of the sets in Shadowkeep, the raid gear being one of them, will have an extra mod slot specifically for mods for special activities. Just like on the Leviathan raids, you had special mods that dropped there, and we're going to have new ones that drop in the new raid, Garden of Salvation, that will only be usable in that raid. So just like in Season of Opulence, how you had to earn the new gear to use the new mods, you'll need to earn some of the new sets in order to use the new raid mods that drop in Garden of Salvation. We can kind of take a guess that the Moon gear, Season of Undying gear, and the raid gear will almost all certainly be able to take those new raid mods, but it doesn't sound like you're going to be able to put them in just any old 2.0 armor. Then the article goes on to ask about the variety and rarity of mods, to which Bungie says that there's basically three groups. The first group is the mods that you can get from leveling up the gunsmith or buying them with mod components. Hint hint, those are going to be super valuable in Shadowkeep. Then you'll have the mods that come from the artifact, and you can get those by leveling the artifact through XP, killing enemies, doing bounties and activities. And then the final group of mods is high-end stuff, which comes from Pinnacle activities. These are things like the raid mods and other enhanced mods. Keep in mind though that the artifact does actually offer some really strong perks. For example, in the gameplay reveal we saw that the artifact had enhanced loader perks in one of the columns, so even if you don't play Pinnacle activities and can't get all those best mods, you're still going to have quite a few good options through the artifact itself. Bungie also clarified that there are no current plans to add those artifact-specific mods into the general loot pool at the end of the season. Alright, let's talk about strikes. This one's a bit disappointing. There's only going to be two new strikes in Shadowkeep, the Scarlet Keep strike that takes place on the moon, and an unnamed Io strike, which might explain why we saw bits of the Pyramidion but then different sections of Io later on in the gameplay reveal. The silver lining here is that PC and Xbox players will also be getting the Broodhood strike this October that was previously PS4 exclusive, so at least there's that. While this is disappointing, we also have things like a new dungeon coming, a full-length raid, nightmare hunts, 2 new Crucible maps, and other stuff to look forward to, so it's not all bad. I sincerely hope that going forward in the next few seasons, Bungie really focuses on making strikes worthwhile, if they're not doing that already with this DLC, and I would certainly like to see more of them in Seasons 9, 10, and 11. The next question that was asked was what activities will support the new Adept, Hero, and Legend difficulty modes. So Bungie responded saying that even though players only got to see those new difficulty levels on the Nightmare Hunts, those are actually part of the evolution of Nightfall strikes. So coming in Shadowkeep, Nightfalls will support Adept, Hero, and Legend difficulties, presumably with new curated modifiers to make the higher tiers much more of a challenge. I like that idea a lot. I would love to see difficulty levels brought to more activities. Just please give me some good strike-specific loot, Bungie. The article then brings up Gambit and Gambit Prime, referencing Luke Smith's director cut, where he said they're only going to be supporting one mode in the future. Bungie replies saying that both Gambit and Gambit Prime will be available throughout Year 3 and will not be going anywhere anytime soon. They said that when New Light launches, both versions of Gambit will be free to all New Light players, which is honestly pretty generous. They said the whole removing one of those modes is definitely something for down the road, as they really want to evolve Gambit and take it to the next iteration. But they did say don't expect that to happen around when Shadowkeep launches. Which, albeit is kind of a bummer, Gambit could use some love, but it seems their focus is on making sure the new stuff works, which makes sense. What's the power cap, they ask in the article? I covered this a little bit last video, and on Bungie's website, it said the power cap was 960. Turns out that's both technically correct and incorrect depending on how you look at it. Bungie said that while you can only level up to 960 through actual power sources, the artifacts have no limit on how much power they can give you. Here's their full quote. As you get more levels, they'll cost more and more XP. So players are going to go through a similar climb that they did in Forsaken. They're going to hit the soft cap at 900, and then they're going to get gear through Pinnacle activities until they hit the hard cap of 960. After that, through the artifact contributions of power, they can get to even higher levels. players will show us just how far they can get. And at the end of the Season of the Undying, the seasonal artifact, the Eye of the Gate Lord, will go away. Then you'll have another artifact next season that you'll be working on, so you'll effectively be starting all over again, but you'll still have all your gear at 960. So that's actually a much bigger change than I originally thought. If you're someone who plays regularly, you likely won't have much reason to climb too much higher than 960. I mean, let's face it, is the power grind really that exciting? Most people aren't really going to bother even going past 960. Any levels that you get past 960 are likely just going to happen naturally. But for those of you who don't play as often, the nice thing is while the high power loot comes from Pinnacle activities, this means that you can still level up by doing pretty much anything in the game. The artifact levels up through XP as you level up, so it's no doubt going to be slower than doing Pinnacle endgame activities like raids every week, but the option is there for those of you who don't live for that endgame content. The article briefly discusses some other topics like the Director's Cut and Well of Radiance, but there's not too much info there to really share. And one final thing regarding cross-save today, which is live right now. Here's your all-in-one informational guide on what to expect with cross-save and the new content. This should hopefully contain all you need to know about the different versions of the game, the most important thing being that if you are cross-saving to a new platform, you do need to own the game, and of course the DLC if you want to play it, on that new platform to play. That's going to do it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching the update, and I'll see you all in the next one.